wife, and the unbelieving wife has been sanctified through her believing husband. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, but as it is, they are holy. I don't have near the time today to explain what that is, but just understand this practical reality. If you're a Christian and you're married, don't look for a divorce. Okay? Moving on. But if the unbeliever leaves, verse 15, let him do so. A believing man or woman is not bound in such circumstances. God has called us to live in peace. How do you know, wife, whether you will save your husband, or how do you know, husband, whether you will save your wife? Nevertheless, each one should retain the place in life that the Lord assigned to him and to which God has called him. This is the rule I lay down in all the churches. And then he goes through a whole long list, and he says, if you're a slave, don't worry about it. Stay a slave. If you're single, don't worry about it. Stay single. If you're married, don't worry about it. Stay married. See, if God calls you, He calls you who you are, when you are, where you are. Don't try to change it. Here's the point. Remain as you are. Write that word down. Remain as you are. Some of you in this room are single. Be okay with that. When I was in college, I was starting to worry about needing to find a girl, and my mom said to me, okay, here you go, Jeff. Here's the advice. Stop. Don't worry about it. When you fall in love, it'll happen too fast anyway, so just enjoy the ride until it happens. Remain as you are. We don't have enough time, so let's skip through the blanks here. In verse 29 through 31, Paul tells us to live with perspective. What he means there is that time is short, life on earth is short. It's not all about what happens here on earth. So if you're single, don't worry about it. If you're married, don't worry about it. Don't stress about these things. Next, understand the momentum of marriage. What Paul says is that if you do get married, your attention is going to be divided between God and your wife. Understand that. If you're single, you're free to serve God completely. If you're married, you're divided. Now, that's an okay thing in that one area. Marriage is the only time where it's okay to have divided loyalties, to pay attention to God, and also to pay attention to someone else and their desires and their wishes. Next, get married if you have the opportunity, the desire, and a Christ-following fiancé. Paul says that at the end of chapter 7 here. He says specifically, if you have someone and you want to marry her, go ahead, as long as she's a believer. That's what he says. It's okay. Marriage is okay. Getting married is okay because that puts sexuality in its proper context. One last verse we have to look at. It's on your note sheet here, and it's about sacrificial love. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8 says this. You've heard it at every wedding you've ever been to. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Jot this down. Sacrifice. Sacrifice builds a never-fail love. The momentum of our hearts when it comes to love pushes us to places where we might not want to end up. But here's the thing. If you give up on trying to pursue the world's definition of love, and you focus on becoming the kind of person who knows love, self-sacrificial love, if you focus on becoming that kind of person, then when God brings the environment to you, the opportunity to you for you to get married and express all that marriage is, then your love can be never ending, never failing. And that's really what you want anyway. See, in marriage, God brings these two concepts back together. Sexuality and sacrifice come back together in marriage. And so I want you today to get in your mind that says, the goal of my love pursuits on earth is either marriage in a godly way or singleness where I can love everybody wholeheartedly. and to not worry about the struggle to pursue one of them. Let me ask you to bow your heads for just a moment in an attitude of reflection. Because we've talked about love, and it's important that you realize that God loves you more than anything. It's important that you realize God has made all kinds of sacrifices for you. And all He asks from you is that you give Him your heart. We're going to have a little reflection song here. And as we do, I invite you to spend it in prayer. I invite you to take out that Connect card and on the back side of it, jot down like in journal fashion a prayer, how God is speaking to you right now. When the offering basket comes past during our last song, I invite you to just just put that Connect card in there and say, God, I'm giving you my heart. Especially if today's your first time with us, your Connect card's all we ask from you. But all of us, we want to give God our heart today because He loved us first.